Hello, and welcome to the Golden Talkies podcast, Garden Minisode.
Rang my bell.
I'm here with Jamie.
Hi, glad to be making my first appearance on the Golden Talkies.
We're here in person, next to each other.
Yeah, I could touch Duncan.
But he's not going to, because there's a pandemic on.
I could really touch him.
He's going to really touch me later.
I just asked Duncan, as a sort of actual conversation, what his favourite stand-up comedian was, and then he insisted on recording.
Well, this is going to be the start of the episode.
Next week, is it?
This week's episode. What are we watching?
Performance.
I've seen it.
I have.
Jamie has not seen it yet.
I was going to watch it this evening. I guess I'm watching it tomorrow
It is
morning.
currently Thursday, the 6th of August, the year of our Lord 2020.
I'm really worried they're going to do it in my front door somehow.
And we are recording the podcast tomorrow, Friday the 6th of August, the year of our Lord, Friday the 7th of August, the year of our Lord 2020. Do you think we're likely to be hungover when we record the podcast, Jamie?
Probably.
Do you think this is going to be the most lively that we will be?
It'll be fun for the listeners. You know, we could record it on Saturday. You edit it in one day, right?
I edit it. Yes, I edit it. Sure. Let's go with
whatever the applicable verb is. We wouldn't have to record tomorrow if we didn't want to.
No, I think we will probably be able to record tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we could be recording on Saturday, the 6th of August, the year of our Lord 2020. We've had a few beers, haven't we, Jamie? But we're maintaining social distancing because we're responsible.
I can't touch you from this distance, as you can
No,
see.
he just put his hand out, but he didn't touch me. We're gonna get so many views from this. You know that?
Really?
If we title it Golden Talkies Episode 12, open brackets, drunk episode, close brackets.
I prefer tipsy.
Tipsy, that's classy. Tipsy episode, dash, performance, dash.
Whatever the quote is. Oh no, I've revealed how we titled the episodes. Maybe someone hadn't figured that out yet.
Oh, if you hadn't figured it out, there you go. Episode 12 is revealing to you that we do the quotes by... We do the titles by quotes. By quotes in the films. So yeah, we're having a little party within the rules, I believe.
I believe so.
5 households.
Yeah, 5 outside.
Outside. Distanced.
Yep.
So we're within the rules. We're having a little party and then we're recording the podcast. And I thought, because everyone just went to the shop to get some alcohol, socially distanced, of course.
Do you think they brought masks?
I hope so. Pate has a mask because he was on the train. Pate is one of our friends, by the way. I should clarify because we're still in the podcast. He has a mask.
Ross would.
Mark does not have a mask because I was just in his house, which is 2 households in a house, which is allowed. We were socially distanced. He does not have a mask. Ross may or may not have a mask. So that is the start of the episode. I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode when we will be sober and in separate places.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Who's your favourite stand-up comedian?
My favourite stand-up comedian, that's a hard question to answer. Maybe I'll answer it on the podcast tomorrow, who knows?
Oh.
Or Saturday, but when you're listening to it in a minute.
Yeah, baby, Golden Talkies, back on the radio waves.
We should say hello again, because if you remember, Jamie, 2 days ago we recorded a little intro clip for this episode.
Yeah.
Which I fully intend to put
nice.
in, unless I've forgotten the content and we said something dodgy. But I think that'll be a lovely, heartwarming proof that we know each other outside of the internet.
Yes, that's good. That's important.
Yeah. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know what, my good friend David, I feel we really did something there.
We sure did, Jim. That is what we call you, though. Yeah. By we, I mean the royal we, me. That's what we call you. That was it. Yeah. Do you know what you said to me, Jamie?
What?
You said I like you. You're fun, and that meant a lot to me. So.
That's true.
So thanks.
Stand by it.
This is okay. That's enough wholesome podcast listening for today.
Yeah, not gonna repeat it, obviously.
What is this podcast, and what are we watching?
It's the Golden Talkies podcast, my baby, my honey, my ragtime gal. and on it we discuss movies that came out 50 years ago this very week.
This week.
This week's movie is 1970s Performance,
Yeah.
starring Jamie Foxx and Mick Jagger from Rolling Stones.
Jamie Foxx from
Jamie
from
Foxx.
Marvel.
Not the popular Jamie Foxx.
With 2 X's.
Yeah. Singular X Jamie Foxx.
Single X Jamie Foxx. And it's James Foxx, I think, isn't it?
James, sorry.
Yeah. Surely as someone with that name yourself, you would know
The
that.
differences don't matter.
Man,
really.
so I watched this film on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I watched it quite a while ago.
I watched it yesterday.
So you can sort of take the lead.
Alright.
Man, I know I say this
Okay.
every time, but I feel like every episode we do, my notes get worse and worse. To the point where now I have like even less typed down, and it's all just what I wrote when I watched it 3 days ago. So this is going to be a good one.
Yeah. So, to be fair, I would say that this film is perhaps one of the more difficult we've ever done.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is an experimental British film. Came out in 1970. As you can tell from the premise
The
of the
3rd of
podcast.
August. The 3rd of August.
There we go. 5 days ago, date of recording. I guess it would be 6 days, date of release.
That's right.
So he plays Jamie Foxx, singular X, plays Chaz, who's a London gangster.
Gangster.
Yeah, he's going around for protection money and all that jizzity jazz.
That's right.
But he gets a little too into it one day because he's got personal beef with the owner of a betting shop at the mafia.
That's
The
right.
London gang is going to destroy.
The guy's called Maddock or something, or Murdoch.
Maddock, that's it, yes.
Murdoch from Trog.
Yes.
Same guy.
So this mafia boss man who looks a bit like George Costanza, except if he was from London.
Yeah. What's he called again? Tony. No.
Hale?
Harry
Hill.
Yeah.
Yes, well then, this is a lovely job here, Chaz, but
And then he looks to the side camera.
I don't think it's quite right for you.
There's only one way to find out. Fight! Harry Flowers, that's what he was called.
Harry Flowers, that's it, sorry. So he says that, Chaz, you're too into this on a personal level. We don't mix up business with your personal life.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my other goons to do this, and they do, and they destroy the shop. But Chaz sort of comes back for a sort of victory lap to sort of taunt him a bit.
Yeah.
And then after that, Murdoch from the betting shop tries to kill Chaz in his own flat while he's having a bit of a shag.
He's not having a shag. No, that's not accurate.
Isn't he? Is that what was going on in the apartment before?
No. Well, I think he has had a shag, but I think he comes home, doesn't he, to find them destroying his apartment, and then they capture him.
Oh, right.
You're about to say the thing where the confusion comes from, I think. Are you?
Well, regardless.
What happens? Because he comes home, and then they strip him and whip him.
Yeah.
But he comes home fully clothed. He's not in the middle of the act when they break him.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
But, anyway, Murdoch attacks Chaz, and sort of in retaliation, Chaz kills him.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out... Sorry?
I think you're skipping over this a bit.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he whips it. He strips him naked and starts whipping him because he's a kinky boy. And then, in order to defend himself, Chaz shoots him.
Then
what?
What were you going to say?
What? That's it.
Oh, right. Well,
but you kind of skipped that bit.
Yeah, he whips him. He shoots Murdoch, and he says, and the Murdoch goes, "You've killed me, Chaz," and he goes, "You're dead, Murdoch," and then he dies.
Maddock, just to clarify.
Maddock, sorry.
Yeah.
So Harry Flowers doesn't really do job security. So now that Chaz has killed him, he wants to get him so that it doesn't, cause trouble for the rest of them.
Yeah, he wants to kill Chaz, basically.
Yeah, so Chaz needs to flee the country now, but in order to do that, he needs to find a place to lay low whilst he, gets his emergency cash, gets sort of documents forged so that he can make the big trip. So while he's hanging out on the station, sort of beatnik musician happens to be a couple of chairs along, and he's telling an old lady about this new tour he's on, and how, he had a little bit of a problem with the landlord, who wasn't sure how he was going to, be able to finish paying his rent, but he was like, you know what, you can keep my stuff in the apartment, I'll just be gone for a little bit, that can be on my deposit. The apartment's free, but, everything's fine. Chaz goes, "Hey, I've got an idea. I can sort of hide out at this musician's apartment whilst I sort of get everything arranged." So he goes to the apartment, and a nice French lady answers the door, and he says that she only rents to entertainers, I think, and he says that he's a juggler. He's a great liar.
Yeah, a juggler called, what was it, Johnny Dean?
Johnny Dean, yes. Yeah. So he sort of has to do a little bit of finagling, but he's able to convince her, and she lets him rent the apartment. And then who should be his co-tenant if it's not Rolling Stones' Mick Jagger?
But not Mick Jagger.
But not Mick Jagger. It's just I can't remember the actual name of the character.
Turner,
yes. But it is also very much Rolling Stones' Mick Jagger.
Yes.
They're doing a pretty good turn in this. I've not really seen much of Mick Jagger as a public persona, but I liked him in this film.
Yeah, well, I read something that said that he was voted. This performance was voted at some point the best performance by a musician in a film.
That sounds fair, because I would say that this performance is very good,
yeah.
And I don't think there are many other performances by musicians that would clear that bar.
Exactly. I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah, so he's sort of playing a sort of tortured bohemian rock star. We find out later that he's lost his devil.
He's quite similar to Z-Man from the Valley of the Dolls film.
I was about to say, ways. Beyond the film that this reminds me of more than anything is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Which we watched in episode...
something or other.
If whoever's editing this, if you could just add what episode it is in there.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure with your high-quality edits, we'll get it in there.
It was episode 6.
Episode 6, yes.
Yeah.
So the sort of crux of the film, the actual emotional weight of it, as it were, is that we've got Chaz, the sort of straight-laced London gangster, and he's living with the bohemian Mick Jagger and his 2 floozies. And, he's sort of struggling between his court identity, his societally mandated identity, and his the freedom of the sexual revolution.
Yeah.
As it were.
And would you say there's implications that he's homosexual?
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Or at least, I think there's at least a certain implication that he's homosexual. I think there's also, the film's very big on gender roles, obviously.
Yeah. There's a point where he says that he feels like a man all the time. When the woman says to him, "Do you never feel your feminine side coming out?" And he's obviously got, repressed, whatever. And he's like, "No, I feel like a man all the time. I'm always a man."
Well, I don't think that's necessarily a repressed thing. I think that's just a clearly.
Well, I think it is.
Well, I think anyone who's like, I have literally never felt any feminine impulse whatsoever is delusional, or at least very much.
That's what I'm saying. But that's
or misunderstanding the context of her speech. Is like gender binaries are shit, man. We're all got a little bit of each inside of us. We've all got impulses here, impulses there, and then sort of not listening, but deeply outraged that he's been accused of having a shred of femininity, and then he's like, I feel like a man 100% of the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah, he's repressing the. He's repressing.
Yeah, I was just. Oh, sorry. I thought you were like trying to say that like. He's implied to be like transgender or something.
No. I'm just saying it's this sort of toxic masculinity. You cannot accept that you could ever feel a feminine side to him. Yeah, no, I'm not implying that in no way is he. Although, well, I say in no way, but he does. He could be transgender.
There's nothing stopping it.
Yeah, there's the scenes where he puts on women's clothing and
like
feels very free. We're coming on to that anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
Continue.
Well, I guess, the crux of this film, the remaining, really, hour of it, as about 40 minutes in that he moves into the apartment, is just sort of him and being a sort of fish out of water in the apartment, as it were. So I guess it's fine to talk about that more holistically than we usually would.
Yeah, well, he takes shrooms.
I was about to say, and I would go so far as to say perhaps really the best and perhaps only really worthwhile scenes of the film are the sort of 20-minute long section where one of the girls feeds him shrooms without his knowledge.
Yeah.
And he on a crazy drug trip where he, interrogates himself very harshly. And there's some really cool surreal imagery. Mick Jagger does a full song.
As Harry Flowers.
As Harry Flowers, and then like everyone in the gangster office is naked.
Yeah.
It's very surreal imagery, which is why I'm having trouble describing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's like a lot of quite spiritual talk about who Chaz really is, who men really are, who Turner really is. Aren't we all connected?
Sure are, babe.
very much one of those things where it's quite difficult to talk about in a podcast.
Yeah, it's a pretty groovy film. Well, I think we can, once we've done the plot summary, we can talk about it in specific bits in detail from a sort of analytical point of view.
Yeah. So just to round off the plot, Chaz during this time has been sort of communicating a bit with this guy Tony. He's like clearly an old friend of his.
Yeah.
And he's giving him instructions on how to get the passport ready and stuff. And Tony says you need to take a passport picture as like a way that you're not recognizable as your old self. And after
of course, this is what starts the.
After the drug trip, he settles on this sort of glam rock look with a red wig.
Yeah.
His persona. Although before the drug trip, he was trying to go for the old hat and mustache look.
Yeah.
But it turns out though that Tony's betrayed him because the mob are listening on the other end of the phone in Tony's room.
Although the implication is that Tony has been forced to betray him. Just to Let's not
not an unaided betrayal.
Let's not paint Tony as a snitch here. Tony is obviously threatened.
Tony's still a snitch.
He's threatened and pressured into it.
That still makes him a snitch in my eyes.
But he would have probably been killed otherwise. You can tell he feels very bad about it, Jamie.
You're not going to take your fucking bullet for your best mate, man? It's disgusting.
No. Man, if it's me against you, I'll pop you in the head myself. No, I'm joking.
I would have taken a bullet for you, but now I'm not gonna.
I'm joking, obviously. Of course I would. Unless... I'm joking.
The mobsters come round to Chaz's place. Chaz and Mick and Turner's place. And they're like, hey, you got to come with us, all right? And then Chaz is like, yeah, okay, just I'll be a minute. I've got a gun, so we don't want to get violent here, boys. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Pack my things, we'll get back down. He goes upstairs. He shoots Turner in the head.
Yeah.
Which sounds like quite a bizarre escalation when I'm saying it right now. And it's equally bizarre in the film.
Yep.
He leaves a little note for his. He's sort of started a wee thing with one of Mick's floozies. So he's saying I'm going away, and then he walks down to the car and is driven off. But in the final seconds, it seems that he has Turner's face. Ooh.
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 And then another Mick Jagger song plays as they drive away.
Yeah.
So, my description of the film doesn't really do it justice because it's a very weird, wacky, surreal, crazy time. Very aggressively. It
is aggressive. Yeah, I
really liked it.
I really liked it. I found it was one of those films where you have no idea what's going on a lot of the time until it sort of starts coming together. But it's not like that in terms of like it's sort of mysterious and then there's this like big moment where everything's revealed. It's more just you kind of have to gradually work it out and try and figure out what's real and what isn't and who the different characters are. Nothing's explained to you. And I kind of like that because it's done well.
I think
if that's done poorly, it sucks, but it's done well.
The film's very much built around the existence of, like, the scene where Chaz takes mushrooms. Like, that's,
Yeah.
You can sort of feel that, like, the film starts there and then they sort of work it backwards and forwards,
Yeah, you do.
That's, like, the center point.
I have to say, I found the editing in parts a bit clunky.
It's very aggressive, which is the word I use when they use shortcuts because I'm not good at this sort of thing.
So like,
there's not a lot of time to rest, as it were.
No, and there's no traditions of editing followed in terms of like match cuts or trying to give a linear kind of idea of what's going on. It's very much if two things are happening at the same time. Like for instance, the film opens with someone having sex, I can't remember who, and someone driving, and it's all intercut incredibly quickly and like faded into each other and stuff with all these weird edits and stuff. Which from a sort of, I don't know, from a trying to follow from a traditional trying to follow the film point of view, that is not good, but it kind of works to creates the tone of the film pretty well.
Yeah, it's very disorientating, but I think that's meant to be on
That's
purpose.
supposed to be, yeah.
Still,
And that's what I meant.
Right.
That's what I meant when I said that you don't really know what's going on. But then there are enough scenes. There's very few scenes that are shot traditionally, but there is just enough that you kind of can get the context of what you've seen before and what you're about to see from those scenes.
Yeah.
Which
One
is
of
good.
the other things on a similar note to that, I think it's less noticeable when he's in the apartment, just because everyone there's a real weirdo anyway. But even during the gangster scenes, which you'd expect to be quite straight-laced, the way they act is very strange as well.
Yeah.
Like the way they like enunciate their sentences, like they have often quite strange, like quite quick increases or decreases in volume, sort of like I'm telling you flowers, sort of thing, you know, like
it's very.
It's more like I'm telling you flowers, you know, that sort of thing.
My favorite gangster was Moody.
Was he the other goon? He's Chaz's counterpart.
He's the one that sits there and they're like talking about something. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know about that." Like there's a bit where they're like, "Oh, it's like we've been bitten by a dog," and he's like, "I got bit by a dog once." And then they're like, "Moody, you need to go get rid of Chaz." And he's like, "Oh, all right then." And he like heads out. And do you know who it reminded me of, Jamie?
Who?
Do you remember when we were in primary 6 and we did Gel the musical?
Yes.
And Callum.
Oh, was that your character?
No,
oh, no.
Callum. I'm not going to say his second name because I guess that'd be doxing technically. But the big guy. That looked like he was about 5 years older than I was. The character he played in the gang. Where do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, that was who Moody reminded me of.
People who don't know, was a copyright royalty-free version of the film Grease.
Although the gang was Cockney.
Changed.
The gang was Cockney, which actually works well for this film.
I think that was a director's choice, was it not? Or perhaps
potentially, probably. Yeah. Anyway, the gang was Cockney. So actually, a lot of the gang members reminded me of the characters from Gel, the musical we both did when we were 10. But in particular, I was
nerd number 12.
Really, I was in the gang, and I was actually one of the top. I was one of the top background dancers, Jamie.
No, I had to buy a tank top and Converse. That's the dress code.
Really, you had to buy Converse. Jeez.
Yeah,
it's quite expensive. I think
they were like Converse-like shoes.
Yeah, so you could get them from Primark or something. So I was picked to be one of the main background dancers because there was like the bit of stage at the back that was like really high and above everyone, and they were like, we want the best dancers, people that have learned the choreography the best up on that bit of the stage, and he picked me, and I was about to say other names, but I probably shouldn't like say the names of everyone that went to our school. I feel like we're not far enough removed.
Eventually.
I feel like we're not far enough removed from school. You know, if we were like 50 years old, it wouldn't matter, but I feel like. Well, that's probably not a problem. Anyway, regardless, the gang reminded me a lot of the Cockney gang from the musical Gel, which I recommend everyone to check out. I
don't think there's any way to
check it out. I could.
Why not watch the film Grease and then sort of every 30 seconds just sort of yell something in Cockney and you'll sort of get a good.
You'll get a good idea. Yeah. So that's kind of because I feel like, as far as London gangs go, they've not got a lot of representation. Like, I'm thinking of Legend, and that's about it, unless I'm being really stupid. You know, compared to the Mafia or something that have hundreds and hundreds of films.
Well, what about every Guy Ritchie film?
I think I've only seen, like, one Guy Ritchie film.
Oh, well, in that case, I will tell you that Guy Ritchie is responsible for, like, 90% of
all like Snatch and stuff. Yeah, I've not
Snatch,
seen any of them.
Stock,
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Is that about gangs? No. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And he made The Gentleman last year, didn't he?
Yeah. Gentleman's very much.
Man, the only thing I know about Guy Ritchie. Oh wait, we've talked about this on a podcast before, have we not? The interview he did, where he was really awkward.
Maybe.
Guy Ritchie, David Spade. He did an interview with David Spade, and it's like the most awkward thing, where like David Spade will ask him a question and he'll answer with like one word, which is obviously the opposite of what you're supposed to do in a talk show.
Of course.
I've definitely said it before, but that's what I feel like I would be on a talk show.
Yeah.
I'd just be pretty awkward,
Well,
and then everyone would make fun of me on the internet.
it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching, as I mentioned last week, Taskmaster recently, and for one of the prize tasks in the first series, they had to bring in like I think it was like the most embarrassing item or something.
Right.
And Josh Widdicombe brought in a tape of him on Andrew Neil's show, where like Andrew Neil kept asking him like really like political questions.
Yeah, Andrew Neil's the big politics guy, right? The big BBC,
big story boy. Yeah. So there's one where he was like, so we I can't do his voice. We found out that there's discrimination against regional accents. What's your opinion on that, Josh? And he was like, definitely can't do Josh Widdicombe. He was like, yeah, I mean, it's really bad, but like, yeah, it's just, what can you do? I mean, it's so bad, you know?
Yeah.
And it was very embarrassing.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's
him.
like. So, yeah. So that's my knowledge of Guy Ritchie. But yeah, I suppose there are, but I still feel like you think about it less than the Mafia, see?
Yeah.
Even though it was a big thing, like the Cray twins were like the dudes.
What's the name of that movie about the Cray twins?
Legend.
Legend.
Featuring Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy. Actually,
Yeah.
there's a link between Legend and this film.
What?
There's a link between Legend and this performance.
Yeah.
So the poster for Legend has Tom Hardy twice, and it says featuring Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy. And the poster for Performance has Mick Jagger twice, and some of them have James Foxx twice, in their different costumes.
Personas. Yeah.
Mick Jagger and Mick Jagger, James Foxx and James Foxx.
Cool.
So there's a little link for all of you listeners. We don't just chat shit on this podcast. We really work on it. There's I'm looking at a poster here for Performance. It says Vice and Versa at the top, and then it's got a picture of Mick Jagger in bed with the two girls, and then a picture of James Foxx in bed with Mick Jagger, not Nick Jagger. And it says this film is about madness and sanity, fantasy and reality, death and life, vice and versa.
Yeah.
Do you think that's accurate?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think I need to watch this film a second time before I can truly say I understood it, because I was definitely missing some stuff.
There's a lot of like nuances and stuff.
And like it does come at you fast, so
yeah.
I can't pretend to say like, oh, I definitely got all this. You know, this is no straight.
I think at its core, it's about these like totally opposing worlds clashing. And
I was about to say a really recurring theme in the films we've done is this idea, or maybe not that recurring because we haven't done too many films, but the idea of like you're being pulled between this world of like corporatism or what society expects of you, and you're being pulled between this like 60s swinging world and stuff. Because I was thinking Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and Regular Valley of the Dolls and Getting Straight in particular are really about that.
What was the Conformist about?
The Conformist was about the Nazi boy, which I guess is also
of course. I totally forgot.
That is also about that. That might be more of a coincidence, though, given how divorced it is from America.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting film. Yeah, we've done some interesting ones, haven't we?
We've done a lot of Drek.
The Cheyenne Social Club, I guess, a little bit as well.
Oh yeah, actually, no, you're completely right. The Cheyenne Social Club definitely is about that as well. Yeah.
Look at us. We're getting themes running throughout all our films. That's what this is all about.
Yeah. But I guess like if we're just talking about like the general mood of late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
I think it's quite interesting that a lot of the films that are more definitively of that time that we've done are about this idea of being caught between these two worlds.
But I know I've sort of stopped the historical context in terms of looking at magazines and stuff, but a lot of the articles in that were kind of the same thing about, hippies or protesters, and like the readers of the magazines are generally not the sort of people that would be into that, and it's about this like clash of ideas, and you've got the Vietnam War going on, and at the same time you've got this like free peace movement, and I think it's really the cultural. I don't know if that exists so much today. I feel like nowadays there's not nowadays there's not so much that norm you have to conform to.
I was going to argue the exact opposite, which I was going to say
Really?
nowadays so much of a what would you say, unnorm to conform to, or not to conform to. Oh, yes, that is in its own way of form of conforming.
What are you saying?
But, I mean, sorry, I should say the harsh corporate, you put on your suit and tie, man, and then you do your thing. That still exists,
but not as much.
But I would argue against that. But
really?
I would still say that but the Bohemia, the free love, Woodstock back when it was good, that doesn't exist anymore. There's no of the two worlds between the two, only one has survived.
Well, I agree with that, but I think there's a lot less pressure now to conform to that.
No, I wouldn't say so. I'd say
okay,
because you still have to. I would say society, particularly actually now that media is so much more widespread in its messaging, is much more, not more, but it's still as pervasive as ever. There's still very, very strong cultural forces that encourage you to get a job,
well,
settle
obviously,
down,
but I think
meet a nice girl.
No, I feel like that's less now. I feel like people are a lot more accepting of someone being like 30 and single, or someone working a non-traditional job or stuff. Maybe it's the circles that I mingle in as a film student.
Yeah,
and
well,
like
I think it's still seen as like an
stuff.
aberration.
That's all very like anti-culture stuff. So I don't see as much the like that.
I think if you
were
single at 30, people wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that, but they would genuinely be surprised if you said that you were never planning on marrying someone, or even like settling into a long-term relationship. If you're like, I think I'm just gonna stay single for life, then people would push back against you.
Yeah, that is sort of true. Yeah.
Or like if you're like, I have my own Etsy store and I make these necklaces and I sell them and that's how I make my living. I do genuinely think most people,
maybe
the culture as a whole, would judge you for that rather than
maybe.
Like I'm a planning supervisor and I walk in, I do this. Yeah.
Maybe it's more of a case of the age has been pushed back, because I feel like in 1970, like even being our age, it'd be like, okay, what job are you getting the second you graduate? What all that kind of stuff. But that and do you have have you met who you're going to marry yet? People got married regularly at 20, 21, 22, or younger, easily younger, often younger. So yeah, I feel like maybe the age, I see what you're saying. The pressure still exists, but perhaps the sort of ages have been pushed back, where you're allowed to be kind of free a lot longer. People would judge you less for being in your mid-20s and not having your job for life, your wife for life.
Oh yeah, I mean certainly like the specific standards will have changed. Yeah. But just like there is still a societal script.
There is, but I guess what I was saying is it's a bit looser. So like, I feel like obviously I was not alive in the 1970s, so I don't know, and maybe it's just because you hear about certain groups or whatever. But I feel like now, whilst there is still that like overarching pressure to do that, it's a lot less like people get a lot less judged for exactly what they do or who they do or where they do it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can be working in an office, but you can be a skater or whatever. Which maybe was not so.
If you walked up to someone at even like 27 and said, "I'm a professional skater," they would still, I think, judge you unless you were incredibly famous. At which point, that sort of overtakes it, So if you're just like, "I'm a professional skater," I'm just about able to make a living off of it. Like maybe I do some side jobs or whatever. Then you would, I think, be judged quite harshly by most people.
Yeah, but I'm more talking about a hobby. I feel like hobbies and lifestyles are now a lot more open than they were at the time.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Like there may still be the societal sort of, you need to get a job into this, but then if you go out in the forest and you're a hippie at the weekend, people are like, yeah, whatever. Whereas in the 70s, you'd be like, why are you wasting your time doing that?
Well, yeah, but you're not a hippie on the weekend. Like,
how do you know, Jimmy?
You do know what being a hippie is.
I'm in the forest right now, Jimmy.
A hippie by definition does not have a job, Duncan. You can't just do a 9 to 5 and join the commune for for a long weekend.
I wholly disagree, Jamie. I
Look at us, looking at all these films about like the implacable divide between being a hippie and being a responsible worker, and look at you, you've solved the problem.
Exactly.
Like,
All James Foxx had to do was be a gangster during the week and then dress up as a woman at the weekend. No, but this is my point. Nowadays, you could be a gangster during the week and dress up during the weekend. In the 70s, you couldn't, because it would be like, oh, you're a P word.
I think they'd still say that today, and I think if you look inside you will know that they would. Yeah.
Talking about the P word, there's so you know when they're but back to the film. We've been off the film for like 20 minutes now.
We're discussing.
No, we are. So the scene where he gets his apartment broken into and beaten up, they put red paint all over the walls.
Yeah.
And in the paint they write. I thought they'd written poop, P-O-O-P, and I was like, why the fuck have they written poop in the wall? And it was only when they filmed it for the second time that I realized it was. Are you allowed to say that word? I feel like I shouldn't.
No.
P-O-O-F.
No. The second P was actually an F.
Yeah, the second P was actually an F. Although, of course, that is a word for a footstool as well. Or
yeah, I'm sure that's the context they went
or
to.
if someone's disappeared. It's not the context they went to, obviously.
Yeah. Just out of shot, there's a little arrow pointing down to Chaz's footstool.
It's a little helpful thing. Okay, anyway, so they write that word in the wall. I thought it said poop. I thought that was a little funny thing. Yeah. I was like, why? Huh. Yeah. And that nicely brings us back to the homosexual side. So I think... So you see him have sex a few times.
Yeah.
Which I will also come back to. I'm adding things I'm going to come back to. But I think the first implication that he could be a homosexual, or certainly could have some kind of homosexual desires, is when he's being whipped. When he's been stripped and whipped, and it cuts between pictures of topless men as well.
Oh yeah.
And also him having sex. So it sort of reminds him of. It kind of links these three things. It links him. He's being whipped by a man. He's got photos of topless men all over his apartment, and it also is cut with the sex.
Yeah. The idea is that like he's not getting off on it, but
not getting off on it, but it's
there's a mental connection for him.
Exactly. And there's a few other bits like that. Like when he says he feels like a man all the time, and she laughs, and then he I guess homosexuality is not necessarily linked to cross-dressing in any way, but that whole kind of side of him, it definitely comes out when he's had the shrooms. So yeah, I found that quite interesting because obviously that's a thing in film.
Second film we've done, and only 12 episodes about a closeted gay man as well.
What was the other one?
The Conformist.
Oh, of course. Yeah, because he had the
again making those sweet links. But I suppose that's another thing that's quite interesting. I suppose is the surprising focus on homosexuality. I always assumed that it was just something like people didn't really talk about.
Yeah, and
at that time, but like it's clearly something fascinated with.
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls had it as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Not repressed in the same way, but it's had the characters and the interactions and stuff. And what was the other one? Did Getting Straight have an element of it?
We talked about it because it was quite homophobic, despite being pretty progressive.
It was homophobic. That's right. Yeah, I think now that we've watched this one and Beyond Valley of the Dolls, you can kind of see how Getting Straight is more of a sort of studio film. I mean, all of these films are released by studios, but you can definitely see how Getting Straight was more of a sort of corporate. It was still a sort of left-ish kind of anti-government, anti-Vietnam film, but in a very very straight way, a very Getting Straight way.
And in a safer sort of space.
Exactly, compared to this one. Yeah.
I don't know. What else is there? I was just trying to think.
The cinematography is pretty nice. There's a lot of fisheye lenses and very interesting camera angles.
It does. It seems a lot like music videos that I've seen from the time.
No,
that might just be my lack of a lens for the sort of era, because I think it slots into like this artistic movement of more experimental British films at the time, which I just have never seen.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Jamie. The Wikipedia article, and again, I know we always quote Wikipedia and it's like the worst source, but it's just easy to get like things. This was before the MTV music video that you're talking about, the MTV music video style. So this was sort of the precursor to that.
Well, that is cool, actually.
Like, let me look up when MTV started. I think it was like the late. MTV started in 1981, so it was a decade after this. So the kind of music videos you see in this film are the precursors to those ones by a decade.
Music videos before MTV though. They had music videos before MTV though.
Yeah, but this style of music video.
Duncan? Did I blow
There's
your...
a certain...
Okay,
What?
yeah, sorry.
There's a certain type...
Sorry, I wasn't sure if this was like a claim based on the fact that you have a film degree or a claim based on like when MTV was made. I was just...
No. There's a type of music video that's associated with MTV, which like progressed from when it started up into the 90s, and the film, the scene where Mick Jagger becomes Harry Flowers, that kind of music video style is like the precursor to that. Because that's not what music videos were like in the 70s.
Yeah, that does make sense. Well, like the only music videos I've seen then that were even like mildly contemporaneous are the Beatles ones, and it's very weird how flat they are. When you compare
That's what I mean. They're very And like the fisheye lens, there's so many fisheye lens shots in this film, but they were popularized by like the 1990s music videos on MTV, like the 1990s rap videos on MTV. Were really the things that popularized the fisheye lens as a sort of like urban, modern kind of thing. So there you go. You learn something new every day, Jamie.
Got a fisheye lens. I'm
Every day's a school day. So that's interesting. Good. Music videos. Cinematography. Yeah, so there's a lot of bits that are cut together. So both in terms of editing and in terms of cinematography, very interestingly. Yeah.
Like, we talked about that before, but it's very disorientating. Very big fan of that thing, as we were talking about before, where they like cut two different scenes together to show how they're related.
Intercutting.
Intercutting. That would be the thing. I think it pulls that trick from the Colors trilogy as well. Well, not from the Colors trilogy, I guess the Colors trilogy would have it, where it like does sort of like flash presence, as it were. Maybe. Can't remember.
What's the Colors trilogy?
Yeah, have you not seen the Colors trilogy?
No.
Yeah. It's a trilogy of French films.
They're from 1990, Jamie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like they copied that. I'm just saying it's a thing I've seen in another film.
Okay.
But yeah.
So it looks like they're Polish films.
They are definitely French.
The trilogy was a co-production between France, Poland, and Switzerland.
Okay, that's maybe possible.
The person that did the music was Polish. The people that wrote it were Polish. The cinematography was by Polish people. It was directed by a Polish person.
Okay, it's in the French language, so shut up.
No. Well, I guess three colors, tricolor is French.
Tricolore.
Yeah. Cool.
Although actually in France they call it trois couleurs.
It's called what?
They call it trois couleurs.
Oh, do they? Trois. Oh, there's a lot of xenophobia in this film as well.
Oh yeah, I think.
Not in terms of by the filmmakers, in terms of by the characters.
Yeah.
And
that's the sort of that's one of the something that occurred to me was like I was wondering actually how common I was thinking like how common would it have been to like actually see foreign folk in 1970s London?
I think pretty common, but not in certain circles.
Yeah.
You know, like I think artistically, yes, but in terms of the gangster world, maybe not so much.
Surely. So not to the same extent as now, surely.
Probably
But,
not. I'm trying to have a look here, but I'm not
But
really
yeah,
sure
like-
what to Google.
like, there's one point where someone's like, you know, he's up with two foreigners, and like the foreigners are French, so like
yeah.
the least.
I wonder.
Not like racist or not based on
Oh,
race.
of course.
They're foreign.
We joined the EU. When did we join the EU? Was that not around this time?
70 something. Yeah, it was around this time. I think it was 73.
Oh well, but that would be after the film, so that doesn't really make sense. The United Kingdom joined the European Communities on 1st January 1973. Okay.
Ah.
Because I thought maybe, maybe it would be linked to that. Like suddenly there'd be an influx of people, but it doesn't look like it. And of course,
foreigners.
the French woman is getting deported.
Oh yeah, that does happen.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I mean, I assume there was a Commonwealth Immigrants Act, 1968, which gave a bunch of countries independence, and then they were allowed to migrate. Although the foreigners that they're talking about are not from the Commonwealth; they're from Europe.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, there's a fair bit of that. There's a fun bit where they're driving along, and then one of the cars like almost bumps into them, and then the gangster goes, "You bastard foreign female," which is
Oh yeah, I did write that down.
pretty
I
good
wondered
line.
if we could use it as the title for the episode. Probably not.
Oh, I've got a good title for the episode.
Oh, really? Wait, do you want to compare our best titles?
Yeah.
You go first while I find my notebook.
Long hair, beatniks, druggers, free love, foreigners.
Nice. I went for Oh no, wait! I wrote it down on my phone even.
Oh.
Which is up there. Oh, it's like I usually wear a hat. I think it was, or this hat.
Oh.
Baby. Loved it.
I feel like my one covers the film better.
It does.
Okay.
But
Cool.
I don't wear hats. Or I feel like a man all the time.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, performance, of course. He's putting on a performance.
Yeah.
How could we forget about that? They're both putting on a performance, actually.
In a way.
I think deep down, they are both similar people, but they both have gone to one extreme of their. I think that's the point of the film, is that they're both very similar deep down, but they've both gone to like one extreme of the persona. Would you say that's an accurate analysis?
I think so. I mean, because obviously, I think I would say as a viewer at least is that Mick Jagger's character is obviously in his own persona.
Yeah.
Or doing his own performance, even if he's not as cognizant of it.
Yeah.
Although I don't think the film necessarily drills into him for that.
Yeah, so a lot of things I read, or not a lot of things I read, a couple of things I read sort of implied that they both change. But I really don't feel like Mick Jagger changes much. I think there's a couple of points where he sort of realizes that James Foxx is kind of the manly man that he kind of longs to be in terms of power and stuff. Because I feel like Mick Jagger really wants power and he wants to be the man of the house and stuff. And I think that he's sort of so flamboyant and feminine that he feels like he can't get that. And I feel like there's a couple of points in the film where you can see him become jealous of Fox's character.
Mick Jagger really doesn't speak very much, particularly in the second half of the film. So most of
he does a lot of watching, yeah.
Yeah,
which is quite nice actually. I feel like that's quite a good way to do it because he is actually quite a good actor. You can kind of tell what he's thinking. So he's the man of the house. He's got these women, and then another one comes in, and there's immediately this kind of jealousy and this sort of fear of the unknown or fear of change that you get. But I don't feel like he changes much by the end, although he does get shot, so maybe you kind of don't get the chance.
Maybe we should say, I sort of skipped over it because the answer is I don't know, but why do you think Jazz shot turn?
Really, I don't know.
Completely passed me by.
I don't know. Maybe he just can't accept that that's kind of him. You know, Like,
I was thinking maybe it's like a mercy killing, like this world's too beautiful for the both of us or something. I don't know.
maybe there's not space for 2 cross-dressers in London. Bam.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Maybe I should look up why. I feel like that kind of is cheating, but let's see if there's
Someone's given us some
like
information.
see if there's different theories and stuff. Why did Chaz shoot Turner?
We're not pretending to be, smart people.
I can't even see.
According to the Mirror, it says
Yeah.
Chaz shoots Turner, seems to kill Turner so he can destroy part of himself.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. That is what I
That
think.
being, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I fumbled my way through it. Yeah, because he sees himself in it, and that scares him. And because of how he's been brought up and his job, that's how he deals with problems. He just shoots them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he resorts to violence. I mean, you see it in other parts of the film before he's in hiding. His default is to resort to violence and to use his power to take control of any situation. And I feel like he loses control with the drugs, and then because he's lost control, he feels the need to regain it, and he takes it out on the person that's made him realize that he's not who he thought he was. That was deep.
That was deep. Sorry, I was looking at the blog post, which is quite interesting.
That's fair. There's also
Slack DSU.
There's 2 pieces of cinematography / editing that really add to this idea. So there's one point where Chaz and Turner are talking, and then their faces are like faded on top of each other. Do you know the bit I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Which is like, obviously that's the implication that they're the same. And then equally, they do the same thing with Chaz and the woman Ferber. They fade their faces over each other, which I guess shows the feminine side of him as well. That's it. It's done at the same time when he's sort of saying he feels like a man all the time, and then it faded over. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking.
Keep thinking. We can talk about who directed it, or have you got something on to say? So it was directed by.
Actually, I will just say the one thing I was going to say is that one of the things they do say, both in the Guardian article I was just reading and in the Wikipedia, is that performance was very influential in the British gangster genre as a whole, which I find surprising. It's really not that.
I wonder what were they. Does it sort of say how? Were they a lot more? Were they a lot more straight edged? Were they maybe a lot more straight edged before? And then
perhaps. I think it's very violent. And maybe
that's true.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
oh, John Wayne has got a British gangster film called Brannigan.
Oh yeah.
Jim Brannigan is sent to London to bring back an American mobster who's being held for extradition.
Cool. Is it like Zap Brannigan from TV's Futurama?
I don't believe so. But I've looked up British gangster films, and I'm not seeing a lot. I'm seeing Legend, one called Attack the Block.
Oh yeah, that's
Is that a gangster film? That looks like a bunch of Neds.
It's sort of gangster /
Okay, and then Snatch. Obviously, I need to see. I know that, and then we're pretty much at performance. Anyway, okay. Well, maybe I need to watch more. British gangster films, I guess. So yeah, we're talking about the director. So it's directed by 2 people, Nicholas Roeg and Donald Cammell. So they both directed it, but Roeg did the cinematography and Cammell wrote the screenplay.
Cool.
Roeg also directed The Man Who Fell to Earth. Have you seen that?
I must admit I have not.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it.
I've also not seen it, but I have heard of it. I want to see it. It's a David Bowie film, where he's an alien.
So he just works with rock stars. Is that like why they?
I guess so.
Hired him.
I guess so. He's also a cinematographer. I didn't actually look at who he has cinematographed for. Let me have a look. Nicholas Roeg cinematography. Oh, he did. He was a second unit cinematographer in Lawrence of Arabia, so I guess that's. Oh, and he was cinematographer for Doctor Zhivago as well.
Oh wow.
And Truffaut's Fahrenheit 451. Right. So he's done a few.
Yeah, it's a good recipe.
Yeah. And so I guess that's how he also made Castaway from 1986, which I assume is not linked. I assume is not linked to. Presumably not linked to Castaway starring Tom Hanks.
Mhm.
Oh, Castaway starring Tom Hanks is 2 words, and Castaway from 1986 is 1 word.
Ah.
Cool. So that's the directors, and I don't know what else Camel wrote. I should look it up. I'm interested that none of these people seem to be particularly involved with the British New Wave, because I would think, with that being in the early 60s, you'd think that people would still be active.
Let's say what and when was the British New Wave?
1959 to 62, I believe.
What's like some more famous British New Wave films that I would like?
Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, I think, is the only one I've seen. The Loneliness of a Long Distance Runner, I really want to see. Look Back in Anger.
Okay.
Room at the Top. There's only 10 British New Wave films.
Oh, that's.
So you could watch them all.
Wave.
But then how many French New Wave films are there? I feel like there's not that much.
Well, I can tell you because I had to write a thing about it.
Apparently there's 40 plus.
But like, I think Godard was like, it's only me and my buds from that magazine.
Cahiers du Cinema.
Yeah, only our films count as French New Wave.
Well, no, because Agnes Varda did French New Wave.
Well, I was about to say,
and she was not part of that movement, because there is.
Most people would say that that's baloney because Varda, as just one example, wasn't part of that group.
Because there was the south side and the north side of Paris, if I remember correctly, the north side was the Cahiers du Cinema boys, and then the south side was Varda and what was her husband called? Jacques Demy, who made, what did he make? I'm forgetting. I thought I'd seen one of his films, but maybe not. Anyway, the good news, Jamie, is that the British New Wave is very clearly defined, and it is 10 specific films by specific people that you should check out. I've only seen one of them, but I want to see the rest of them because it's very good. The British documentary movement is another British film movement I can recommend as well. It's quite interesting. What?
So that's fair.
Fair. Back to performance.
Well, I just to like clear my name a little. I wasn't defending the Godard view of the French New Wave. I think it's silly.
Oh no, I'm sure you weren't. But I agree that the French New Wave is a lot less defined than the British New Wave and other cinematic movements. Yeah.
One other thing about the film that we didn't mention because I forgot is that the thing that starts it is like this court case about a murder, and there's a lawyer in it.
Yeah.
And he sort of talks about stuff. He says another potential title for the episode: "Innuendo is a method I despise." Innuendo, of course, is in and of itself an innuendo. I know that's your favorite joke.
Yeah, innuendo. Yeah.
He gets put bang to rights, love, and I thought that was quite funny in its own way. I feel like they've always got to have in gangster films like that one scene where like there's a traditional authority figure from like the light world, as it were, and the gangsters have to cut him down to size.
Exactly.
His puny words have no power here.
Yeah. He's like, you're not going to talk to my client like that.
Was that a
threat?
Shut
Shut a fucking
was
threat.
That a threat, son? Yeah, it was a threat. What are you gonna do about it, son? I'm a gangster.
Yeah. Exactly.
As they all do.
Oh,
I'm a right rotter.
I'm now thinking about the French New Wave, and I'm thinking I don't really like the French New Wave that much.
Boo! I like it.
Which ones have you seen? I've really not seen many of them, so...
2.
I've seen...
They were good.
Have you seen Cleo?
No, I know that's the film that everyone fucking loves.
It's not very good. Have you seen Band of Outsiders?
No.
It's not very good.
I've seen Pierrot Le Fou and Breathless just to save some time.
I should watch Breathless. I quite liked Weekend, but I don't think that's part of the French New Wave. I think that's.
I liked Pierrot Le Fou. It was fun.
Okay. And Hiroshima My Love, I want to watch as well. Okay, that's enough about the French New Wave. Fucking, we're watching British films this week.
British films this week. Next week we'll probably also be watching something American or British.
Probably. Do you know?
What?
We skipped over the historical context, Jamie.
You said that weird thing about not doing it anymore, and I was like, oh, I guess this isn't a thing we do.
No, I said that I no longer looked so much into what the fuck, magazines. Sorry, I fumbled away for that. I no longer look so much into magazines that came out now.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say, but might need to delay a little bit for whilst I look it up. So
Jamie, I can delay because I've got my historical context fact.
Yeah, why don't you do that? And then
okay. Do you want to guess what happened on the 3rd of August 1970, Jamie?
What happened on the 3rd of August 1970?
Miriam Hargrave of Yorkshire passed her driving test on the 40th try.
Is that just a little bit of life, or should I know who she is?
No, that's what she's famous for. I think that's the record for the most attempts. Before
oh wow, it's kind of cool.
That's 40, not 14, 40. 40 tests.
Yeah. I heard it's a cute.
It's a nice little bit of trivia. That happened on the day that this film came out. So maybe she passed her test and then went to see Performance. Who knows?
That is possible.
Or maybe she saw Performance and got so excited that she was able to pass her test.
She was like, someone drives a car in this film.
Yeah.
Wowie.
And she noticed that they changed the gear at a certain point. She was like, fuck, that's what I've been forgetting. And then she did it. Alright, have you got your thing yet?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, originally we couldn't find a stream of it, but just in case anyone was wondering, we were going to do Muho, which is a Japanese horror film, a Japanese erotic drama film this week, but there are no streams of it. Oh. So get on it, people.
Find it for us.
Now.
And
what was it? It does seem that it was bad, but you know.
What the film that Muhu?
Yeah, Korin Akio is supposed to be a bad boy in terms of his themes.
Ah, okay.
Although he did make Ultraman, which I know you don't, or you directed episodes of Ultraman, which I know you wouldn't be into. But it's a tokusatsu show, sort of. It's like the men in rubber suits fighting over the giant the sort of cardboard cities, you know.
Oh, it's like Power Rangers.
Ultraman's supposed to be the best.
It's like Power Rangers, but just Power Meep. Cool.
Anyway.
What's the other Japanese film? The Pearl Harbor one
that
we might watch when we get to it. Fuck, what's it called? It's Tora.
Oh yeah, Tora. That's the really. I guess it would be.
It's
not American film.
It shows both sides though, in detail.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Maybe I'm being mean.
Well, Jimmy, that's the 23rd of September 1970, so I would really want to do that one. I think I said when we were doing Catch-22 or when we were doing Two the Hero that I really wanted to do this one. So just remember, don't forget.
There is I would say, sort of about 1,000-word long section on historical accuracy on its Wikipedia page.
Really? Well, it's an epic, to be fair, so I guess the Wikipedia page isn't quite long.
God, how fucking long is it?
2 hours, 25 minutes.
I mean, we'll watch it.
We'll watch it, but play. I watched Hamilton last night on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, you did.
2 hours, 40 minutes.
Exactly.
That's good.
Do you like it? I've listened to the soundtrack back in the day. And I liked it. I don't know. Like Hamilton as an experience.
As a musical, in terms of a story that I'm interested in and catchy songs, no. but as like an experience, it was very well written. Like the staging was very nice. The way the songs flowed together was really, really good. The acting was good. The characters were good. Like the way they converted like historical characters into like a modern take on them was good. Yeah, staging, lighting, all that shit was good. Yeah.
You're not a fan of the songs, though. I'm surprised.
No, I must say I can't see myself listening to them. Yeah, like it's not your Les Mis to me. I prefer Les Mis in terms of songs, but I thought it was very good. I wouldn't watch it again, but I'm very glad I watched it.
Yeah, I was meaning to ask you, and I'm going to do it on the podcast now. Does Disney Plus have a free trial in the UK or not?
No, I wish it did, because I would have just used it and watched all the stuff. I'm gonna cancel it this month. I think I paid 2 months of it, and I feel like I've watched. Although they've announced like 2 things. I can't remember what. I think they've announced like 2 things that I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch that, but.
Their Mulan, the live action remake, is going to be exclusively on Disney Plus, but you also have to pay.
You have to pay for it. I know, I saw that. But yeah, I can't warrant, because I already pay for. Have I got my thing here? I think. Oh no, I think it's on my laptop. I pay for like Now TV and. What else do I pay for? Actually, I don't pay for that much, but like I pay for Photoshop and.
I have a ridiculous number of streaming services.
Oh, I pay for YouTube Premium, Photoshop, Now TV. My gym membership's going to start up again, so I'm like, I can't warrant the monthly cost, even though it's quite low, because they just all add up. You know, you think, oh, it's only a £5 a month. I would spend a £5 on a coffee, but then if you have like 10 things that are £5 a month, then that's suddenly like actually a substantial amount every month coming out.
Yeah. No, well, I mean that's how they get you.
That is how they get you. That's how it works. And you know they say that you don't need a box anymore because there's all these streaming services, but then you have to pay them all, and then yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. I'm happy with the number.
Yeah.
Actually,
once I'm done with Disney Plus, I'll be happy with my number. I think probably.
Yeah. I pay for High Dive still, and I barely ever watch it. But like it has 2 shows on it that I really feel I need to watch.
I've got Mubi as well, but I'm going to cancel that because it's so free.
What's the ETA and you doing that just so I know?
Well, I can't remember. I'll tell you.
I steal Duncan's Mubi account for context.
He does.
But,
I will tell you. It's on my laptop. I'll tell you once I think. I think it is the end of this month that I'm going to have to start paying for it, which I'm not going to do because it's not really worth it.
That's fair. I think maybe it would be very good if you were like genuinely following along with the intent of it, which is like watching every film. Like
or like most of them.
Surrendering yourself to their selection. But I realize that what I do is I just go on it and see if it has a film that interests me anyway, which is obviously going to be a pretty small chance. And then, good.
I watched, what did I watch the other day? I watched Around the World When You Were 30, which was quite interesting.
Well, the Japanese horror film A House is on there right now, and everyone tells me that's fantastic all the time.
This film was a Japanese film as well. Around the World When You Were My Age, that's what it's called. But it was Portuguese. Yeah. It was Portuguese and Japanese. It was quite interesting. It's about the girl's dad that went on a trip around Europe and then moved to Portugal, and then she was like going through all his old stuff and talking about it. It was quite interesting, but not that good either. It was quite boring. It's a very long film.
I'm looking for it now. Like, actually, I guess this stuff is mostly quite good, and I should watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try and binge. I guess I should binge both Mubi and Disney Plus before the end of this month because I'm gonna.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna watch through all 30 seasons of The Simpsons.
I started. I mean, I never thought that I was gonna watch for all of it, but I did start, like season 1, episode 1, and then I was like, I don't even like The Simpsons that much.
No! Start at season 2 when it gets really good. But
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it does, but I don't like it that much to. Like I've seen a few of them. Like I don't feel like I need to sit and watch all day. Okay, what else have we got about performance? I feel like I've got a couple of things. It was voted the 48th greatest British film of all time by the BFI in 1999, and in 2008 it was ranked the 182nd best film by Empire magazine ever. So it is on lists. Not super high,
I think
but
I know
pretty good.
this is a repeated refrain for me on this podcast, but it is the sort of film where I can imagine it being someone's favorite.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
like with someone somewhere will really, really connect with.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I realize I can't say that every week, and I've maybe done it like 7 out of 9 times.
No, you can say it because it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it just takes a film to be like the perfect mix of whatever to drag someone in.
Yeah.
Get it? Okay, James Foxx, who plays Chaz. Can you guess what else he
Yeah.
was in?
He was. I looked this up. He was. He was what would we say? Headhunted by Ken Loach, for Dirty Cow, was it?
Oh,
Poor
that is
guy.
not what I had down.
Okay, maybe it's not. Someone there was just like he got his start because Ken Loach was looking for like a nasty looking man, and he was like, "Hey," in the pub to him, "Can you be in my thing?" And they were like, "Yeah, I guess so."
Huh.
It doesn't-
No, my
John Binden is the one who is also in this film, and poor
Oh.
cow, sorry, it's James Fox.
my fact was that he was a rich dad in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from 2005.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I think it's Veronica. Is Veronica
Yeah,
the
Veronica's
spoiled
the
kid? Yeah,
rich one.
he's the dad that gives her money.
Ah, cool.
You know, for the squirrel scene, they had real squirrels.
In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory 2005. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that.
Pretty interesting.
It is interesting. I'm giving you a little credit.
Yeah, no, they had real squirrels, and they had to train them, and yeah. Yep. Anything else you want to? We met in person yesterday. Are we done with performance?
2 days ago.
2 days ago, sorry. Yeah, it was supposed to
Yeah,
be
we're done with
yesterday
performance.
because we were supposed to record it. We're done with performance. We're not done because you have to rate it, Jamie.
Oh yeah, watch it.
Watch it. Me too. That's a free. That's a watch it, but don't pay for it. Well, maybe pay for it.
I think pay for it if it sounds like something you'd be into.
No, I'm just gonna say watch it. Oh, I've not
If
been keeping the thing updated. I started a spreadsheet of how we'd rated everything, and I've already neglected it like the last 2 weeks, and I always forget.
I would say that if you are in.
Sorry, am I boring you?
Yes, this podcast is so boring, Jesus. I would say that if you're into the bohemian life, if you like Mick Jagger, if you're curious about these films of like split identity and societal influence,
Yeah.
give it a shot.
Yeah, I would say watch it.
If you like surreal filmmaking in particular, it's very worthwhile. And I would genuinely say it's worth paying for.
I'm not
maybe
gonna say
actual
pay for it.
DVD, but you know, rent it on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. Just so we're different.
Alright. Fair.
Um,
The traditional Jamie Duncan 1 rating difference.
Exactly. I would check out the British New Wave, if you like films like this. I can say having seen one. I would check out Saturday Night and Sunday Morning. It's a good film. I think this is the second time I've recommended it on the podcast, but
Well, as long as you believe that.
there you go. I do. It might just be because it was one of the few films I've watched on my course and enjoyed. That's not fair. But one of the ones that I was like, damn, that was actually a good film that I would have liked to watch anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's the performance done. We met up on 2 days ago. It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
Glad we did that.
You took me on a tour of your house. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright.
I think, are we done with the podcast? I don't think I have anything. I've not really been playing many games. Oh, Planet Coaster. Remember last week I was saying I was going to try and get into Planet Coaster?
Yeah.
I sort of did a little bit.
That's nice.
And I hope I'll probably play some more. I started a little
Yeah.
park on sandbox mode though, which is maybe where I'm going wrong. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm still watching Taskmaster. I've just started Series 9. And I'm playing The Witcher 3 in the background. Just
In the background.
background.
Oh.
I've almost done with Velen. If people are interested in my progress, I'll probably be on to Novigrad next week.
Okay.
So look forward to that.
Cool. We done?
I think that was okay. Yeah, let's stop.
let's stop.
Bye.
That's a good length. Bye everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Go and watch Performance. Pay for it if you trust Jamie's opinion more than mine.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.